Welcome to Keep Going, a podcast about failure and success, hosted by John Biggs. Every week, we talk to an amazing person about a time they failed and what they learned. And remember, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Welcome back to Keep Going, a podcast about success and failure. I'm John Biggs. Today on the show is Emmanuel Ataf. He's the CEO of Reedsy. This is it's a website for authors that I originally wrote about in, I guess, 2014. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. You're the first person to ever write about us.
So I guess I did my good deed for the decade. Welcome to Emmanuel.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Reedsy and tell us about what you faced building this thing. I mean, surviving for 10 years is no mean feat right now.
Yeah, we're a bit of a weird animal. We basically, with Reedsy, we help authors publish their book. So the initial main value proposition was to allow authors to find the different professionals that they would normally get to work with traditional publishers. So we got some of the best to join us and decide to provide services with us: editing, design, marketing, publicity, illustration, etc. on our marketplace. And we quickly grew, a community of publishing professionals with some of the best names in the industry. And we made that community available to any author, whether they're looking to self-publish or to go get a traditional publishing deal. They could come to Reedsy and they could request quotes, start collaborating with them. And that has been, fairly successful. So today we help, about 50,000 books be made on the marketplace every year. So it's, that has worked quite well. And then over time, we grew. We went from just the marketplace to a marketplace with a number of products around it. The most popular being Studio. It's our writing app that allows authors to write, build a writing routine, outline the story, create boards for characters, worlds, etc. But also format for publication. So whenever the book is ready, they can just format it as an ebook or as a PDF for print, and then they can send it to whichever retailer they want, and then the book and then that will work. So anyone can just easily self-publish with it. And that tool has allowed hundreds of thousands of authors to publish. And there's a lot of resources to learn, to find inspiration. We're running what I think is the largest short story contest in the world, with like a new contest every single week. So a lot to inspire, a lot to learn, and then to connect and write.
So you must have been involved with loads of creatives. How do you turn a idea into a book, especially one that you think might be able to sell? Have you seen that process go through the app?
So I guess most writers, when they start writing because they're looking for a way to express themselves creatively. And most of them don't think about the market and the audience that the book might be for. So we do encourage people to start thinking about how they can market it fairly early on. And so, we have a lot of resources to kind of like train them from that standpoint. But everybody's different. And like amongst creatives, as you probably know yourself as well, a lot of people just, they want to create and then they think about the audience afterwards.
What should somebody do if they do have an idea? Should they finish the book first? Should they think about the market first? Should they?
It depends
what the goal. Hire someone to edit with them.
Yeah. It depends what the goal is. If you're a busy entrepreneur and you want to book out, to market your startup, for instance, maybe you want to write an outline and then you want to work with a ghostwriter because maybe you don't want to or you don't have the time to develop your writing craft. It really depends on whether you're looking for a creative project or not. There's not a single way to do it. You may want to write a lot, self-edit, then show it to an editor. You may want to write just an outline, hire a ghostwriter. It really depends what your goals are.
How did you maintain a startup, especially a startup authors don't have loads of money, right? So how do you maintain a startup that caters towards creative people?
Mm-hmm. Writers might not have a lot of money, but I think people generally are interested in investing in creative projects. So for us, it's writers, but anyone who wants to take photos might buy a camera, spend money on that, might buy an instrument if they like music. We like, as humans, a lot of us like to express ourselves creatively. And so we're ready to invest in that. There's often people make a connection between how much money you can make publishing versus how much money you're investing. But I think the priority is like, let's create something great. And then because that's a cool achievement, that's a cool personal achievement. That's that's just a great thing to do on a daily basis. Then whether you're writing with a commercial goal, it's a different story. You don't necessarily buy a camera because you want to sell prints.
And how did you maintain the startup, or how did you maintain the business throughout this decade? I'm
Yeah,
sure it wasn't always easy.
So like I think we've been pretty lucky, but we never we raised a little bit of money in the beginning, and then fairly quickly things worked out quite well, and we weren't forced to raise more capital and to raise a lot of money. And I'm not even sure Reedsy would have been compatible with that model anyway. But so at some point we became profitable, and it allowed us to just keep growing organically without chasing unicorns or that kind of stuff. And the nice thing about it is that like as founders, it's given us a lot of like freedom to just go out and try new things while building an audience and a growing audience of people who would support us and would be willing and keen to try new products we'd create. And then it created a lot of freedom for our employees as well. Because obviously when you raise a lot of money, there's not just pressure on the founders, but that pressure goes straight to the employees at the end of the day. And so we grew in a very organic way. We're only a team of 50, which is not that many, after 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of people have been with us for 8 years already. So it's, So I think like the healthy growth that we've had has worked quite well for us, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. So what does healthy growth look like, and what does it take to maintain that kind of healthy growth?
So we've grown every single year, and we tend to be counter cyclical. So like when the economy is going, is not doing so well, we tend to do fairly well. So right now things seem to be slowing down, and we growing quite nicely. It was the same during the pandemic. And so we've never really we have like an idea of how we'd like to grow. We know that we're a fairly seasonal business. We know not much happens in the summer and nothing happens in December. But like apart from that, we've never really tried to set really hard deadlines or like targets for revenue or for product features or anything like that. Things are ready when they're ready, and when we're proud of, how they look and how they work. And I think that's helped a lot. That's attracted people who are more interested in like building with care, with time, without all those like I would describe as like imaginary deadline. Like people create a world in their head, but often it's all made up. And so we try to avoid that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's like 180 degree difference from the normal startup pitch. You'd be like, if you did that in a pitch deck, you'd be like, they'd laugh you out of the room.
It took us forever to create the first version of our product, but then the exact same product was running without bugs, without any downtime ever, for maybe 8 years. And so we redesigned the marketplace after 8 years, but it's been so stable and it's worked so well. So like, I guess sometimes, taking your time is worth it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a very refreshing viewpoint. If a entrepreneur wants to do something like you did, something that isn't hard charging, what are some of the techniques that you use to encourage your employees, the team, that kind of thing?
So obviously we're not pressuring anyone. Like it's not like, we want that feature by next week because of whatever reason. We don't do that. But like at the same time, we try to make sure that everybody remains fairly ambitious about what they do. I guess I think a lot of it comes down to the people we hire. We try to hire people who are extremely autonomous and very independent. So people who would lead projects on their own without needing a boss. And so like in a way, maybe because we hire those people, we don't have to do that constant exercise of like, motivating them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's how it starts.
That's interesting. A constant exercise of motivating them. What's the motivation for your team?
So, we have like engineers who worked at NASA before, but they came here to work on something that is special to them. They're writers, they've published books. I guess they like the fact that we don't just do this for the money. We do this because it means something to people. And I guess a lot of entrepreneurs will say that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's what happens with creative projects, as opposed to just, an e-commerce website or an on-demand delivery, whatever. That's highly superficial. I think that brings a lot of depth to people's lives, and people find that valuable.
And you guys just built a new writing tool or updated it?
Yes. So it used to be called the Reedsy Book Editor. It was a terrible name, but it's the name we had when we were trying to attract developers to work on it. And the concept of text editor, speaks to a developer, maybe less to to a writer. But yeah, we rebranded it because that tool became much more than a text editor. We called it Studio because we want authors to think of it as a place, that virtual place that they go to when they open their computer, and they have all the tools that they need at their disposal to write their book, develop a writing routine, leave some notes on their writing, outline their stories, worlds, characters, objects, systems, whatever. Track their writing, collaborate with others as well. It's completely collaborative. They can send like an early draft to beta readers, for instance, if they want to. They can work with editors, and then they can, as I said earlier, format for publication.
Was there ever a time when you thought the company was going to fail?
There were times where I was wondering if it could grow more. And at some point, you learn more about your market, about your industry, and you unlock more things. I think it's fairly natural to feel stuck. At times, you can't always have like that incredible idea to take you to other places. But if you keep digging, usually you find something. That's kind of like one of the lessons, of the past 10 years is like every time we felt like, okay, last year, we grew only by 15 or 20%, which was very slow for us. And in the past few months, we've been growing like 35, 40%. It's been, and so, sometimes like there are things you think you don't, and you keep trying, and some things will work at a later stage. And we've unlocked new growth fairly regularly, but sometimes we felt stuck. We're like, okay, how do we get to that next level of growth?
I mean, it's like I said, it's fascinating that do you do like mindful meditation or something? Like this is the calmest I've ever seen a CEO be about growth and stuff.
I have been to like a few like founders retreats and that kind of stuff. And often when I listen to other founders, I'm like, what kind of life are you creating for yourself? Like, I understand you want to be successful, but honestly, like you going into the office every day and your life is a battlefield. Like, what's the point of this exactly? Like I don't see it. So like, I guess we 4 co-founders and all of us are fairly, calm. And so we're not like the hyper excited, goes crazy. We go crazy sometimes, but not often.
Yeah, but so.
Type founder. And it's just not the life we wanted to live. And so I'm quite happy with how it turned out. But like right now, Reedsy makes, 40 million or something annually. Some founders would want 10 times more, and we're not there. And so maybe we're ambitious, maybe we're not. I don't know. But from our standpoint, I guess we're able to do a lot of things on top of running a company. I like to think that we are fairly multi-dimensional in a way, because, some people, they have one thing and they only have that thing. And if it stops, there's nothing left, essentially. And I think we've been able to build lives that have Reedsy. It's very central, but then there's more.
All right. Well, tell folks how to check out Reedsy and where they can go to see more of what you're doing.
Yes, so it's Reedsy, REEDSY.com. If you're only looking for inspiration, we have a writing contest. You can go to reedsy.com/write. If you're looking for courses to learn, we have a lot of free content available, whether on our YouTube channel or on reedsy.com/learning. And if you want to start writing a book in our app, you can go to reedsy.com.
All right, so reedsy.com. Emmanuel, thank you for this. This has been refreshing, honestly.
Thank you for the catch up. I mean, I'm really glad that we got to talk a little bit because, you wrote about us 11 years ago, but I'm not even sure we ever talked. Actually.
I don't think so. No, it's right. I just write randomly. Anyway, this has been Keep Going. I'm John Biggs. We will see you next week. Thank you for listening to Keep Going, a podcast about success and failure. Remember, Keep Going is entirely listener supported. If you're listening to this, please head over to keepgoingpod.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast for as little as $5 a month. This is a labor of love, and every little bit helps. Thanks for listening.